I'm Tawandra Rowell-Consulo. I'm an assistant professor in the School of Social Work. Oh my gosh, I'm not sure that it's evolved. I feel like I've been doing the same thing for a very long time now, but my research primarily falls into 3 buckets. And now it's weird. I actually have funding to do research in each bucket. The first is where I'm designing interventions to reduce HIV risk transmission. The second is where I'm looking at substance use treatment adequacy, like for people who are coming out of prisons and jails, like are they getting the treatment that they need and that's adequate for their needs. And then finally, I'm looking at the health impact of exposure to the legal system, and I guess that's where I have the most evolution. Before, like years ago, was just this idea, like how does being exposed to the legal system, either directly or indirectly, watching someone get arrested or being arrested yourself, how does that impact your life over time? And now I'm starting to actually do projects in that area where I can actually test the impact on someone's health over time. Because people see it as an individual experience, like someone who's incarcerated, but actually if you live in a community that's over surveillance, like where police presence is very strong, it has an impact on you because there's always this angst around whether or not you're going to be arrested, whether or not someone's going to be killed, especially black areas where surveillance is very high. And so like things like that, now I can actually look at that and say, look, this is what the evidence suggests this is doing to people's life over the course of their lives, not just at one moment in time, but how does it have an impact over time? And is it worth it, right? Like, is it worth the surveilling? Is it worth actually arresting people for minor offenses if you know like how damaging it is, the kind of harm that you're inflicting on disadvantaged communities? Yeah, that one. I think before it was just this idea that I had, and I've been thinking about this for years now. I've been following the literature and seeing like where the work is being developed, and I still see that like there's room for more work around that because like police killings have been much more like in the media attention lately, but they've always been happening. And so like for me, I see an opportunity to actually tell more of the story. Like this isn't just impacting the person who was killed or who's at risk of being killed. It actually has a community level impact as well, and it can be prevented. No, in 2 ways. So in New York City, what we did is we did surveys in Central Brooklyn, which is a largely black neighborhood. We administer surveys to people in Central Brooklyn to ask about like their observations. Like, have you observed someone being assaulted by the police? Have you yourself been assaulted or arrested and things like that? And then ask them about their health. Like, you know, are you feeling depressed? Like, are they experiencing symptoms of depression? So we could try to associate the two that way. In the state of Wisconsin, I'm doing something a little different where we're looking at state level administrative data sources. So we look at things like Medicaid claims, since that's coverage for low-income individuals, and they also tend to be overrepresented in the legal system here, especially in this state. So we can use Medicaid claims, like how often are they seeing a physician, what kind of conditions and things like that. We can look at that. But we can't directly ask them. These are state-level administrative data sources, which aren't typically used for research purposes, but we can gather information on other things. So we can look at things like their zip code. We can look at other rates of like police officers, number of police officers in the communities that they live in and things like that, and try to make some type of correlation there. I enjoy the teaching and the mentorship piece. For the teaching, it's watching them grow and develop over the course of a semester. I tend to enjoy that, like, oh, they got it, and they're excited about it still, you know what I mean? Because everyone's exhausted at the end of the semester. And for doctoral students, mentoring them, I guess I get a lot of enjoyment out of watching someone start to design their own independent research project, like for their dissertation, and helping them think about independent careers in research. Like, yeah, I feel like I get a lot of enjoyment out of that, like just watching the students develop over the course of the time that you're working with them. I think for me, this is the first summer that I haven't had this process hanging over my head. So like the realization that, oh my gosh, like all of this like energy has been directed toward this one thing. And this summer I've been able to relax. I don't have to think about that anymore. So it's just realizing how much time and energy that is taken. I don't know if I should say that, but like, and realizing that, okay, now I can move past this. Like I can check this off the list and continue to advance in my career. So it's just that, like, oh my gosh, I don't have to think about this anymore. I don't have to work on this anymore. I don't have to, like, it's done. Now I can continue doing the work that, it doesn't change the work that I do. It's just, I've gone through the process. And so I'm grateful to have that behind me, honestly. I've been training for this moment for like over a decade, and so it's nice to have it behind me. And then you get angry, like, why did I spend so I've been kicking myself, like, why didn't I relax more? Why didn't I enjoy this more? Why, you know what I mean? And so, like, if I had to give a piece of advice to someone else who's like in my shoes in the future, it is to relax and just do the work, just do good science, and you'll be fine. I guess I should say that I have an opportunity to take more risks, and you feel like you won't be penalized for that, but like I don't foresee myself like doing anything differently. Like I'm still going to teach the same. I think I'm fortunate enough to be able to teach the same thing that I was teaching before. My research agenda isn't changing. I don't feel like I have to take greater risks now. I just have the privilege of continuing to do what what I've been doing. Like, and the prospect of losing my job is no longer over my head. Like I am in the fortunate situation now where I can continue to do this work and I can continue to pursue funding. I think what helps is that I don't have to, like, there's freedom and more freedom in time, if that makes sense. Like before I was always nervous, will I get the proposal funded in time? Will I be able to do this in time? Now I'm much more comfortable with the delays that all of us are experiencing. Like things just don't get funded rapidly, things don't get published as much. Sometimes it takes longer for your doctoral student to graduate, you know what I mean? And I feel like I'm much more comfortable like with the delays that you experience, and so it's not pressure anymore. Like, I mean, there's still always pressure, but like not such intense pressure over the time period. Like this has to happen before I go up for tenure.